Welcome to Whole Life Living TV Network, a show that explores simple ways to live life at your highest potential through the latest outstanding topics, advice, and positive news from a healthy, happier, more loving conscious mindset, with internationally known guests and everyday people sharing simple ways to take belief and apply it towards mastering your dreams and life. I'm your host, Sherry Gideons. I'm an international speaker. I'm a life mastery coach, and I travel around the world helping people to clarify what they want out of life so they can win and succeed. Today, our guest is Dr. Angela Tran, who is a board-certified internal medicine and obesity medicine specialist. After working as a primary care physician for 5 years, she realized that she was prescribing numerous medications for treatment of conditions that were ultimately the root cause for obesity. She left internal medicine to open Med-Fit Medical Weightloss to focus on weight management. Today, Dr. Angela Tran now directs a medically monitored program that provides a medically complete management solution to long-term success. Welcome, Dr. Angela Tran. I'm glad to have you.
Thank you so much, Sherry. I'm so excited to be here.
Oh, you bet. Before we get started, I want to ask all of our guests to please help us continue to grow the Whole Life Living show, because that's what this is about. This is to provide information from amazing people and experts to everyday people like you that really, help us to live a fulfilling life and to continue move forward in that expansion and that highest version of ourselves. So please share on Facebook and please share on Twitter as we are, sharing information through this show. We greatly appreciate it. And if you have any questions for Dr. Tran throughout the show or would like to call in, please let us know. If so, please queue up your questions in the send a message bar, and you're going to do /Q space and then ask your question, and it'll come up on the board for us to answer any questions that you may have. So the topic of today is learn to think thin and win. And I love that topic.
Thank you. I just wanted to tell everybody that, diet and exercise is only half the battle. And mindset is actually the other 50% that people forget to address. And that's why you have all of your yo-yo dieters out there who, are experts at losing weight, but are also experts at gaining the weight back because they're not addressing what's up here.
Interesting. So what would you say is the biggest mistake that dieters make?
So one of the things is that, again, they're doing the external skills, which means, they're counting calories or watching what they eat, they're going to the gym and exercising, but they still call themselves fat. They still look in the mirror and almost are kind of like mean to themselves, like, oh, I'm slow. I'm never going to be one of like the other, people who are healthy. And so they've been telling themselves stories probably since they've been a child. And so that's something that we address here in our office.
Oh, I love that. So it almost would make, based on what you said just now, it makes me think like, they're self-prophesizing their experience before they even get started.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I entitled, my tagline, Learn to Think Thin and Win, because there's a certain mentality, again, a certain mindset that thin and healthy people have. And if I can outline all of the characteristics and behaviors, then you start to act like them, start to think like them, and then it actually becomes a natural habit to be healthy.
So would you say that you start out, really addressing the individual? So your program is about first defining what's going on in the thinking process or the habit thinking process of each individual?
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, with our consultations in the office, I'm spending at least an hour really digging into their past, addressing, where their weight issues even started. And like I said, it's very common for me to see that patients have dealt with weight issues pretty much their whole life.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, it sounds like you're very much a what I would call a life coach, and at the same time, a doctor.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, again, that's sort of the passion that drives me to really help people to live healthy lives. Like I said, it's not just the whole basics of counting calories and exercising. I really enjoy that mental transformation. That's really the tipping point that gets people to be successful long term.
So are you suggesting that, people create their experience through thought?
Yes, yes. So, and again, it can be as young as a child. I have patients who have had parents that may have been critical around food. Maybe they dealt with weight issues also. I've had grandmothers who sort of made comments to, their granddaughters. There's so many life experiences that people don't realize that really has paved them to think the way they do into adulthood.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I totally believe in that because, I grew up, my mother was from Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm.
So, I grew up during the 60s and the 70s when, the mothers still stayed home and they cooked, everything from scratch.
Mm-hmm.
And it was all, very much fried and, what we would call down home cooking that, I know now on a lot of levels, it's that emotional connection to those fulfilling foods that,
Yep.
Did that.
Yeah, and especially in Oklahoma, I grew up in Kansas, so we know, food is comfort, food is love. And, and then we have like the whole clean your plate mentality, or else you don't get to play, or, there's starving children in this world type of thing. So again, these little messages that we don't feel like they're harmful at the time, but the repetitiveness, again, then programs you to think the way that you do.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I totally get that because, I owned health clubs for a lot of years. And one of the things I did is I integrated a kids fit program into my health club because I began to see over time that, the children that were coming into my programs were just hugely obese, 5-year-old children, 105 pounds.
Yeah. Yeah, it makes me very sad to see, again, children as young as that age to already struggle with weight issues. That's just sort of a testament to how this country is going.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And so, as a society, we're, obviously one of the, United States is one of the largest obese, countries in the world. How do we change that? How do we shift that? Where do we start? With all these millions, I don't even want to say millions, hundreds of fad diets out there.
Yeah, that is a very good question. Honestly, if I had my wishes, it's all about education. Mm-hmm. We really need to start with the kids in school. I have families who almost actually don't even know what to do when it comes to living a healthy lifestyle. The sad truth is that there's too much access to junk food, the convenience food. There's, fast food restaurants in every block. And again, parents are working long hours and kids are staying at home. So it's really all about education. And in my clinic, knowledge is power. Mm-hmm. When you really understand how your body works, how you're processing, again, you will learn how to make the better choice when you know what's going on.
Yeah, I know. I mean, even with, I did clinical nutrition for a number of years, and, you bring in mindset as one of the key factors that is something that, somebody should deal with getting started. One of the things that I found with just addressing the clients I had was the lack and limitation and scarcity thinking that caused them to not even step out and, get started.
Mm-hmm, absolutely. And again, a lot of individuals believe that they have to spend more money on healthy food, and that's actually not true. You can buy good whole foods at the grocery store that cost less than, again, your typical extra value meal at the fast food restaurant.
Hmm. So how would a person, get started on, being educated as to, especially with what you're doing, to get started on something like that? I mean, to really understand more about what foods are giving them long-term energy versus being tired and sluggish and, gaining weight.
Yeah, when I talk to your listeners today, starting with your doctor is the first place to really address any type of medical barriers that could be potentially slowing you down. I recommend individuals get tested for diabetes, get tested for thyroid issues, getting all of these different lab tests to really identify that. Now, here's the trick. Now, because I'm a obesity medicine specialist, I do have the extra training and knowledge to really direct someone to start a custom diet and exercise program based on the medical knowledge I've gained. With primary care, I tell you a little bit of the ugly truth. In medical school, we were not taught about nutrition. Mm-hmm. So when you go to your doctor and expect them to know the answer to your question, how do I lose weight? They may not have the knowledge that I have to really give you the full in-depth picture. And so, but there are obesity medicine specialists in this entire country. I belong to a great association called Obesity Medicine Association, and you can go there and find someone who is, again, board certified, has the extra training, who truly understands the sensitive issues of being overweight.
Yeah, so in reference to being overweight, you hear more now about autoimmune resistance disorder and leaky gut. Mm-hmm. And I mean, back in my day, obviously, it was like you were going to go on a diet and you were going to eat good, healthy foods, and you were going to lose weight. And now we're discovering that there's so many more in-depth things that could be going on that causes a person who may be dieting, not to be losing weight at all.
Right, absolutely. Again, every body is chemically different. And so I do find patients who, again, maybe try a gluten-free diet and they feel great, but for some reason they're not losing weight. Well, what happens is that the downside of gluten-free is that you're probably missing some other nutrients that you're not taking care of. And so that's why, here it's very individualized, because your diet plan will be different than the person, in an hour that I see.
Mm-hmm. What's your opinion about the weight loss industry today and, the information that they're putting out there?
Oh, it's a battle because, sometimes it just kind of confuses me too. One day you hear this news that great, everybody should be doing it. And then the next day you're doing it all wrong. So for me as a medical doctor, it is my responsibility to stay up to date on the scientific evidence and then again, continue to educate my followers, my patients, to really understand, again, the foundation of what really works and try to kind of screen out all the noise of what the weight loss industry creates.
Yeah, so is that, you hear these different things around, fad diets and how they harm the body, and there's so many of them out there. I mean, do they actually harm the body and slow down the weight loss process?
Very good question. I think what happens is when it comes to harm, it's because someone is doing it on their own without professional assistance. Mm-hmm. So, again, cleanses, although it seems like it, is a good thing, maybe someone interprets it differently and then could potentially, again, harm their kidneys or dehydrates or things like that. Another person may have diabetes and really shouldn't be on a diet on their own because they have blood sugar problems. So I think the harm is what they take from learning from, whether it's the internet or TV or whatnot, and takes it into their own hands. But the reality is that you really should have assistance like a medical doctor who can really make sure that you're doing it safely.
So despite the information, I mean, obviously we live in an information era where it's like you can go and get information from just about anywhere. And so you're suggesting that, to really do this right and keep it off, it's going to require to, have these various tests done that are so important to, really, living a life of longevity.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. It's funny too, because you mentioned cleanses, and you hear cleanses so much today, and how cleanses, I guess on a lot of levels, eliminate parasites, eliminate from your waste. Can you share with us exactly what the benefit of a cleanse is, and what types are, something that, is, could be used?
Yeah. So now I don't have like necessarily a specific detox cleanse for everybody. Again, it's very individualized depending on, certain patients' medical conditions. But when I talk about a cleanse, think about all of the different chemicals that you are eating in your diet that may be causing you fatigue or concentration problems. I have patients who have frequent headaches and migraines. Now, for example, I have patients who eat a lot of sugar in their diet. So from, lemonade to chocolate, desserts, sweets. So when I talk about cleanse, okay, well, we need to slowly cut out sugars because it's creating sort of a toxicity. It is causing you to be tired. It is causing you to have problems with your insulin, and it's causing you to have overweight problems. And so I have a specific plan that will slowly wean you off, sugar, and get you to eat in a controlled level so that you can still function. I'll let you know, sugar is probably one of the most addicted drugs out there. And when I say drug, it's just, again, our bodies are so chemically, changed because of it. We really need to be careful because it is affecting our health.
It's funny that you brought that up, because I was going to ask you, what's the trouble with sugar and weight loss? But I mean, I even have people say, okay, so if sugar is an issue that's spiking your insulin, what about natural sugar? What about fruits?
Sure. So again, it really depends on your chemistry of your medical condition. So some people, again, fruit has sugar in it. And, I myself, I don't have diabetes. And so, fruit is something I can process. My family member who has diabetes, I don't recommend having fruit on a daily basis because they don't have the insulin function to support processing foods or foods high in sugar. So again, it's a very complex process. So we need to kind of educate the patients on, again, the good sugars, the level, the amount that you can eat on a daily basis.
What are some of the good sugars? Can you share with us some, just off the top of your head?
Oh, very good. So since we're on the fruit sort of subject, the whole fruits such as apples, pears, berries, those are what we call the low glycemic index list. What that means is that when you eat these types of fruits, it won't cause such a high sugar rise in your bloodstream. Now, the higher score are the ones that you have to stay away from or limit. The bad news is that it's all the fruits that we love. So the tropical fruits like bananas, mangoes, pineapples, and what's surprising to a lot of people are watermelon. People just think, oh, it's a great fruit in the summertime. It's just like water, It's like water. But it's actually one of the highest scores on the glycemic index scale, and it can gain you, it can make you gain 5 pounds overnight sometimes.
Wow, I would have never thought.
Yeah, so it's pretty tricky, although fruit looks the same, but from underneath it's causing different insulin responses and different sugar levels when you eat it.
Wow, that's amazing, because even like pineapple, I mean, I love pineapple. I wouldn't have thought of that,
Yeah.
In the morning, I like to have a little small bowl. I measure it of Special K, and then I'll put strawberries on the top.
Right, exactly. And, again, people really enjoy smoothies and they think they're having a healthy fruit smoothie, but you have to be careful, particularly when it comes to fruit, because it actually can cause a high sugar rise in your bloodstream.
Now, is that what causes you to get agitated and irritated, or even, go up high first and then slug down?
It can, because, sugar also has an association with the brain chemistry. So, there are different brain hormones, and just to not get too complicated with our audience, but, there's a special hormone called dopamine and serotonin that sort of makes us feel happy and energetic. And sugar can really interfere with that, causes kind of like that temporary feeling, almost like drugs and alcohol,
Mm-hmm.
but then you crash, and then that's where you feel the shakes, the irritability. Again, this can be severe if you are truly addicted to sugar.
Wow, it takes me back to the, using the mindset like you talked about in the beginning. I mean, I can see now where, thinking is such a process in this, this living the life of health, because if you're feeling that from the foods that you're eating, I mean, you're thinking in ways like, we were talking about earlier, this sucks, losing weight sucks. I hate losing weight type of thing.
Sure. Yeah. And, here in my office, I have a few tests that allows me to see what kind of imbalances you may have from a brain chemistry level. Mm-hmm. And sometimes I kind of alleviate, a patient's concern. I say, hey, guess what? You're not crazy. You actually have an imbalance in your brain hormones that causes you to crave certain things, have certain, emotions and things like that. And if we actually balance out your brain hormones, you may not actually be addicted to sugar anymore. We just need to kind of balance, again, that medical chemistry that is underlying.
Wow. So how long does it usually take to balance out a person's, maybe sugar addiction?
It's that's a good question. Again, it can be different for different people. Sometimes it can be as quick as, again, a 1-week process where we're really sort of eliminating all of the triggers that's causing this. Some people will require, as many as 30 to 90 days, but most patients will feel the difference when I create an actual roadmap for them to get started.
Oh, I love that. That's such a great way to look at it, because I'm a visual person. I like to really supply information from the visual and kinesthetic side. Mm-hmm. And I'm noticing that even as we have these interviews and we, give people something that they can tangibly see, or, something in their head they connect with, they're much more apt to maybe even take the first steps on the journey.
Right. Yep. Again, some people just need, just that detailed structure. And I know everybody really has the commitment. They just don't know what to do. And so that's why we really create that step-by-step plan that anybody can do that will get them results.
Mm-hmm. So what are some of the secrets to rapid weight loss? Let's talk about that for a little bit.
Yeah, so in the beginning, we need to sort of identify how you're eating in the first place. Mm-hmm. That's really where I sort of spot the holes. And believe it or not, majority of my patients aren't even overeaters. You think, okay, the typical obese person is probably, again, sitting on their couch, just, eating nachos and just being lazy. Mm-hmm. That's not true at all, okay? The people who struggle are the ones who have problems with time management. They have long hours of work. They're in meetings all day long. They are just grabbing and on the go, and sometimes they'll eat something, maybe unhealthy, or I even have patients who don't even eat at all. They'll eat, they'll have a coffee for breakfast, and then they say, well, I won't have anything until dinner. So it's these lifestyle behaviors that are truly getting in the way. And so that's kind of the start. I want to ask questions on how are you living your life. That's really honestly how we're going to get into this rapid weight loss mode.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I know. I totally get that, because even in the health club business, people give you the same exact excuses for not exercising, you know,
Mm-hmm.
not enough time, you know, I wake up in the morning, and I could see it even being, you know, more difficult in relationship to food because, you know, people get up, they're rushed, you know, today we're dealing with driving to, you know, long distance locations to work and
Right.
stuff like that. And the first thing people say is, you know, obviously I don't have enough time and the food is too expensive.
Mm-hmm, right, exactly. And, you know, if someone out there who's listening who wants just really, you know, tips that they can do absolutely today to get them on this, again, rapid weight loss journey, a couple of things, okay? Number one is you need to drink water. Now, this is not just a hydration, you know, status. Your body is made up of 70% of water, and your cells, particularly your fat cells, use water to process in your muscle.
Oh, where'd she go? Maybe she'll come back on in a second. Are you there, Angela? We lost you. You can sign out and just come back on. You can click out with your little X and just come back on. It'll take a second. Go ahead and X out and now come back on. There we go. Well, we got you. It's blinking you in, but it's not bringing you on the show. Well, I'm on again. Oh, this is so weird. All of a sudden you were gone. You knocked off. Okay, try it again. Sorry, everyone. I don't, you know, with Blab, sometimes this happens. It's the first time this has ever happened to me. I'm accepting her, but it's not coming on. Sorry, I apologize. Thank you for bearing with us. I don't understand why it's not letting her in. I'm trying, Angela. I've clicked I literally have clicked you to come on the show over and over, accepted you. And for some strange reason, it is literally not bringing you back on. Huh. I've reloaded you. Okay, exit out one more time and try it one more time to come in. It is so weird. God, that's so weird. I'm coming right on for myself and she's not. I don't understand why. Is there anything you can click on your side, Angela? I so apologize. I've clicked everything. I clicked accept and you should have come on immediately. And everything it says you're on. It's just ringing you in. I'm sorry. I mean, I've never had this happen ever. It's just ringing you in. It says you're on the show. It says that I've accepted you. And I'm not sure where on your end it may be holding you back. Oh gosh, I don't know why this is doing this. I've never had this happen before. Desktop window, but okay, is your camera working? Because the moment I click off, my camera comes back, goes off and comes back on. So I'm wondering if your camera is coming on. Comment in the little message bar to me. This is the oddest thing I have ever had happen. You should be coming right on. I'm sorry, everyone. We lost Angela, and for some strange reason, it says she's not connecting, and it says I'm on air as well. Hi, everyone. I just want to mention what's going on right now is we've been discussing, we've had Dr. Angela Tran on the show giving some really amazing, valuable information on how we can learn to think thin and win, how we can really set that foundation of, really living a healthy, well, fulfilling life, that is actually available to us all. And there's a certain way that, each of us individually are having different chemical breakdowns in our relationship to food individually. And so while there's all these fad diets out there and all these different diets out there, we're dealing so much with what's going on in our own individual bodies. And she's really sharing with us some really awesome, amazing, incredible information. And for some reason, she has bounced off of the show.
There we go. Hey, we found it. Sorry about that, everyone.
Well, you know what? When you kept saying to me that, on my side, it was showing you were on the air as well.
Yeah.
So the only thing I could think of at that point was refresh your computer.
Sure. Yeah. So that works.
Yay, we'll all know that for the future.
Yeah, so sorry for the interruption. It felt like we went to a commercial break just as we were getting to the good stuff.
Well, and I love that about live streaming. Live streaming is like, it gives you the opportunity to really share who you truly are. You know, let that fun, playful side out of you and not be so caught up in this perfectionism mentality.
Sure. So, but yeah, so back to some of the juicy tips that I wanted to give all of your listeners out there. So a couple of tips of what I recommend to get on that, again, rapid weight loss track. And number one, I said water. Water is a beautiful thing. It's not just a hydration method. Believe it or not, again, it helps runs your muscle cells, your fat cells, all of your different cells that are involved in metabolism. It relies on water to transport and do all of the different things that it does to help function with our bodies, okay? I recommend 64 ounces of water per day. Now, for some people, that can be really challenging. That's really about 8 to 12 glasses per day, okay? Some people, I've got some athletes who go all the way up to 100 ounces per day, which is phenomenal. Wow. But you really need to get in that minimum 8, okay? The second thing is take vitamin D supplement daily. Now, for people who aren't familiar with vitamin D, not only does it help preserve the strength of your bones. It works with calcium, things like that. But people don't realize it's actually the key that turns a fat cell from a storing cell to a burning cell.
Really?
So realize that, hey, guess what? If you're low on vitamin D, you're actually telling your fat cells to store more. So I recommend 2,000 international units per day. One of the best ways to really gauge on that is to go to your doctor. You can easily get a vitamin D level checked, and they can determine if you just need a daily supplement, or in some cases, somebody may need prescription strength vitamin D to really ramp up that levels.
What's the difference between going and getting it at your health food store versus, maybe a prescription?
Yeah, so, I recommend 2,000 units a day. If you're low on vitamin D, let's say you're at a level 5, which is extremely low, as a doctor, I would prescribe you 50,000 units per week. Now, you can't do this at the health store because, again, it can be dangerous for you to take 50,000 units at your own. You need to be monitored by a doctor. And that's why this is a prescription strength. So again, it's easy for someone to just go to their doctor's office. You can get insurance coverage for this to get a vitamin D level and really determine what the best daily supplement you should be on. Okay.
Somebody on the panel is asking to repeat how many liters again of water?
64 ounces.
Okay.
Okay. And then the third most important thing is, I say, what is one thing that that's getting you into trouble that you can eliminate? So, and it's just one thing. I call it sort of the ripple effect. What small change can you make that creates a ripple that can actually make a big difference? For example, if you find yourself at your desk working through lunch, maybe you should take a break. Maybe you have like 15 to 30 minutes to just walk, outside, for a good 15 to 20 minutes and get in, several thousand steps. Okay. Another one is, again, for those of you who feel like sugar is something that you're addicted to, maybe you shouldn't go to Starbucks every day. Maybe we need to cut out, 50%. Maybe you can compromise and just, get your usual drink, half of the week. But I would recommend doing it slowly because, again, you are going to crash. You are going to be irritable. We want to make sure that it's a slow process. So those are the 3 main ingredients to really, again, literally catapult you on this rapid weight loss track.
So where does coffee play a role in weight loss? Is it a stimulant, or does it deter you from weight loss?
Yeah. I love that you asked that question. Now, I tell people coffee is actually okay. Mm-hmm. It's really the extra stuff that interferes with our metabolism. So when I say coffee, it's really the caffeine that creates that stimulant that, again, truly enhances your metabolism. So I actually encourage individuals to drink coffee, but it's got to be black. Mm-hmm. Now, for those of you who don't drink coffee like me, I'm not really a coffee drinker. I like to drink green tea. Green tea has caffeine. It also has a long list of antioxidants, quite a variety of benefits to enhance your health. So, so caffeine in itself, in the form of whether it's coffee or tea, actually will be very beneficial for your metabolism.
So, oh, that's awesome. I really like that a lot. I mean, I'm thinking too, the only problem with me is I like the extra stuff.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, we can't have the whipped cream, you know, we can't have the cream and the sugar. Believe it or not, I have a, you know, I have a meal replacement product that I use in my clinic, and I will actually ask patients to combine the meal replacement with their coffee, and it's the best breakfast of champions. I love it.
Really neat. You know, and that's the thing that, you know, as far as a meal replacement for me, when I like to have those first thing in the morning, because those really kind of ramp up my day, get my day going. And it also seems like too, it really balances out, you know, my stomach as far as hunger goes for, you know, probably a good 3-4 hours sometimes because of that one meal replacement.
Yep, definitely. And, you know, I'll be honest, I find that a lot of patients aren't really hungry at breakfast. They just can't really take like a big load, except for the weekends when you actually have time. So I recommend some sort of kind of like a liquid type of, you know, nutrition to start your day. But as long as it has the proper nutrition when it comes to the right amount of protein, carbs, and fats, things like that.
Well, and that kind of goes back to what you were saying earlier as far as us doing this individually and really finding out where our individual system is, you know, chemically functioning and, you know, the different things that may be limiting us from losing weight or, you know, causing us to struggle more in that mindset of why are we not losing weight?
Right.
Horrible. I don't want to do this anymore.
Right. And I recommend breakfast is truly the most important meal of the day. So don't skip it thinking that you're going to cut out calories and that you're going to lose weight. It actually is harmful for you. You're going to be hungry, and then you're just going to be chasing your hunger throughout the day. So if you know, are going to screw up the whole day, just don't screw up breakfast. You know, you got to make sure that you get in the nutrition to start your day right.
Yeah, I know, absolutely. You know, getting back to what we really started this topic around, and that's really the mental game around weight loss and how, you know, we can think thin to win. So, you know, as far as the different things that you've set up in your program, what are some ways that people can, you know, move forward, focusing through today, being more aware of that habit of thought that causes them to struggle, and then changing that or shifting that in a way that keeps serving them moving forward in today?
Yeah, so I like to break it down into 3 things, okay? The first step is listening to your own voice. You know, just be observant of what you're even saying to yourself. Like I said, I have patients, you know, I'll ask them, you know, when was the last time you called yourself fat or said something negative about your physical appearance? And, you know, the most common answer is this morning. And so one of the tips that I tell everyone up front is, now the reality is the voice is still going to be there because it's been there for years, but I ask you to muffle it. So I always kind of tell people to just almost put their hand over their mouth, and they muffle, I'm fat. So what you do is that when you muffle that voice, you lower the significance of that statement. Eventually, you know, that sort of, again, inner voice is not going to be so important when it comes to that negativity that you're telling yourself. Okay. The opposite is that if you say something positive, you may need to make it loud and clear, so that, again, you are telling yourself with validity that this is what you believe, this is how you're going to act, okay? The second thing is you need that support. Gosh, this is one of the key things that I emphasize in my program. You know, look at the people that you are spending your time with. I mean, are you spending time with other people who also call themselves fat, who also have a negative attitude around food? So you really need to sort of clean up potentially an environment that might be supportive, so that goes from family to friends to coworkers. So really just pay attention to the people that you are spending time with and make sure that they are a positive influence for you. And then the last tip is to start observing your thin and healthy family and friends. Kind of pick out their habits. Is your girlfriend finishing her plate? Is another coworker having, she has her gym clothes in her trunk and she's planning to go to the gym after work. These are the habits that you want to observe, because then you start to mimic these habits, and then all of a sudden you are thinking thin as well, and then you will act thin and healthy as a result of that.
That's such a good point, because, I have this amazing mentor, and her and I do life coaching back and forth. And we were, and she struggled with weight loss, for many years. She's in her 70s. And we were talking about this recently around what you just said. She was saying it's like hanging out with people and they're eating all the crappy food, and you wonder why you're mad at them.
Right.
You wonder why you're mad at them. You're wondering why you're trying to find reasons to pick them apart,
Right.
And she said, it's like, you think about it like an alcoholic she used as an example. And she says, and if an alcoholic's hanging out with somebody who's a drinker, they're going to be mad and pissed and making all these reasons why, there's something wrong with them. And she says, so the object is to surround yourself with somebody who, just like you said, is also on a health and wellness journey. She said, start changing the names, the words you use.
Right, exactly. And I tell you, you are just programming, what you think, and what you think is what you act. So again, when you make this mindset shift, I tell you, this whole weight loss process will be so much easier.
Awesome. So why don't you just reiterate very quickly with us how to keep weight off long-term and what it takes to be a successful loser.
Yeah. So again, there is quite a long list, of course, that I teach with all of my patients. In my clinic, I will have 1-year programs, because you realize, just imagine how many years it took you to, struggle with your weight, and the time that it needs for you to clean up your act, type of thing. So number one, again, really, it's all about the support, just what we were talking about. You can be perfect with your diet and exercise and even mindset. But again, if you are consistently in a negative environment where there is constant food temptations, or if your significant other, partner or spouse just insists on living an unhealthy lifestyle, it is going to be challenging. So again, really kind of working on that environment to make sure that you have the right support system, okay? The second thing is always have a plan. I tell you, again, we are on the go. We live in this fast-paced world. Again, as I find that we just wake up in the day, we're already late, on task, responsibilities, traffic, everything. And so you always want to try to stay ahead of yourself, plan your meals. And again, I understand that, there are going to be things, life happens. You're not always going to be able to stick to a plan, but at least you have a framework on, basically just to kind of, again, stay ahead so that you can keep yourself out of trouble, okay? And then the third one is that this one is actually interesting. Reward yourself. Now, not with food, but this goes back to another important element is about self-worth. What are you doing this for? Why are you just counting calories and exercise? We need to bring back I am worth it. Put yourself as top priority, because I know most of you out there are used to taking care of others except yourself. And if you leave yourself last, again, it's the wrong message that you're not important. And so again, another concept that I work with my patients, you have to be first. And guess what? When you are first, you will double the amount of people that you help in your life.
I love that you said that, because I believe too, when you put yourself first, you automatically pull to you what you're putting out.
Mm-hmm.
And so you're going to pull other people who are in that same belief system, in that same mindset, and they want to see you win.
Right, for sure.
You know, well, gosh, it's been an amazing experience. I mean, other than the little itty bitty little things that, you know, bumped you off and all of that. I mean, I'm glad that, you know, our listeners and our watchers stayed on with us during that whole little fa-poo.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, no. So is there anything else that we didn't cover that you really want to get that message across and you want to share with the listeners out there, you know, and how they can work with you individually? I mean, you know.
Yeah, I just want people to, you know, stop blaming yourself. You know, I know that a lot of people have blame and shame, and it truly paralyzes them from taking action. And so I encourage you, you know, and all the listeners out there, you know, stop blaming yourself. You know, start a plan. You know, even if it's just one small step forward, hey, guess what? You are ahead of the game. So, you know, I just really want people to feel encouraged that, yes, they can overcome this. It just, you know, requires you to take that, you know, the leap of courage to really figure out how to move forward. And if anybody wants to learn more information, you know, they can go to my website at denverweightlossclinic.com. I am offering a free report on how to stop yo-yo dieting and really address those mental mistakes that are keeping you on a diet. And you can also email me at drtran@denverweightlossclinic.com. I'm happy to answer any questions to help get you on the right path.
Now, do you have virtual programs where you work with clients virtually and set them up for the program?
Very good question. We are actually in the beta phase. We have 2 patients currently that we are helping out of state. And so we are in the development stages of creating, yes, that virtual connection and support, but also give the same results that the patients that I see face to face are getting as well. So yes, that is kind of upcoming in this year.
I'm really glad to hear that, because I mean, just really having this interview today has made me realize how important your approach, you know, this Med-Fit approach is in relationship to long-term weight loss, because of the individuality of it. You know, breaking down what it is going on in us chemically, so that we're not repeating this process over and over again throughout our life, and, you know, going on with that mindset of, you know, hating the process, hating the journey, because we're already subjectively setting up that we're going to fail again, because this is the way weight loss is. This is the way dieting is.
Right. Yeah, it's a lifelong journey, and I hope people really just kind of saw, I'm so passionate about this. You know, I really want to help people. And again, I've been blessed to really redefine myself as a doctor, and this is how I'm helping people. So, you know, again, I really encourage you to reach out. I know how you feel, but it is also something that you can be successful with if you just get on the right steps to your weight loss journey.
That's so important. We have a guest that's asking, they don't like to use protein supplements, and what kind of food can they eat to get more protein?
Sure, I get that. You know, protein supplements are not just, you know, are just not for everybody. It's really important. It depends on, you know, if you're a vegetarian or if you do eat meat, but I would start with simply looking at the food label on all of the foods that you eat. It will identify, you know, how much protein is in that food. And I want everybody to, again, this is another little tidbit, so write this down. My little rule is single-digit sugar, double-digit protein. So what that means is that if you look on a food label, if the protein is 10 grams or more, it's good. If it is 9 grams less of sugar, it's good. So if you follow those rules, then you'll be pretty much set.
So what do you mean 9 grams less of sugar? Is it going to say in the food label 9 or less?
Yep. It's under, if you look at the food label, it will show total carbs, and it'll break down into fiber and sugar. And it will specifically say how many grams of sugar that product has. For example, even Gatorade, they have 2 different products of Gatorade. There's the G series and there's a G2 series.
Right.
And believe it or not, there's a significant difference in the sugar content, to where the G2 series is actually only about 7 grams of sugar. The G series has, gosh, I think about like 20 or 22 grams of sugar.
Wow.
Yeah. So you need to kind of look at the label. Don't take, just sort of like the brand, just on the cover. Look at the label, and you'll really see kind of, the true identity of what it has.
Wow, sounds like we need to have a show just based on, understanding how to read labels.
I know, for sure.
Well, gosh, you know what, Dr. Angela Tran, this has really been an awesome show. I've absolutely loved all the tips. I love your, because I'm such a big mental person, and I believe that, we create our own reality based on our habitual ways of thinking. I really was happy to have this interview and on the topic of thinking and winning and setting ourselves up for success.
Yeah. And
so,
thank you so much for the opportunity. Like I said, I love it. We share the same passion. I just, I think I just hopefully provided value to anybody out there who can literally take my tips and start changing today. That's my hope.
Yeah, and that's what I agree too. It's about what steps can you take through the moments of today to create that feeling of success and that feeling of passion and happiness. And, listening to everything you've shared in this program, I myself am very fascinated and want to know more. So
Sure. Well, yeah. we'll connect for sure.
Yeah, definitely. So those of you who've been watching and listening, we have been discussing with Dr. Angela Tran how to learn to think thin and win. She's been sharing with us some amazing tips and strategies as individuals, how to set ourselves up for weight loss success. If you want to know more about her, you can go to her website at http, and Dr. Tran, that is?
Yes, it's www.denverweightlossclinic.com.
Awesome. So thank you again very much, and I look forward to having all of you on the show next week. If you want to know more about my upcoming show guests and to visit the archives, you can visit wholelifeliving.com. Today's show will be archived there, and you can also visit and view the video of today. Thank you again. I am Sherry Gideons, your host. I'm an international speaker, whole life mastery coach. I'm a licensed spiritual practitioner and a retired pro bodybuilder. Thank you again, and we will see you next week. Thank you again, Dr. Tran.
Thank you.